Hello, everyone. We are back. We are back on the IBA Success Candidate Tailgate with the candidate herself of District 7. This is the last one of the day. I have joked to everybody every time they're the last and say, we saved the best for last. She is the last of the day. Shannon Currie is currently running for the newly created Orange County Commission District 7, which includes areas of Pine Hills, Rosemont, Eatonville, and portions of Ocoee. This is a crowded, very crowded candidate race. You currently have 12 people that are in this race. So we're here to talk about why you should be the one to take this seat and lead that community. Okay, so let's just start off before we even get into the politics. Okay,
Yes.
let's just start off and say, who are you, and what experience in your own life has shaped the woman that I have before me?
Well, first of all, Jen, thank you so much for this opportunity and all of you. I want to, before I go into the introductions, make one slight correction
Okay.
that Ocoee is not in the new District 7. It's
Okay.
actually in District 2.
Okay.
But it does have, of course, the areas of the Pine Hills, the Rosemont, the town of Eatonville, some of Gotha, and all of Orla Vista, Maitland, and College Park.
Okay.
So those are the areas that is within the new District 7. And I bring a, years of experience. When I think back at my, on my professional experience, I served 2 terms in the Florida legislature as a senior aide.
Okay.
In the Florida Senate. And that experience is critical because, there are a lot of times if you're not in the field of politics, you truly don't know the importance of certain positions.
Okay.
And as a legislative aide, what that did for me was allowed me to witness politics and policy making, being a part of that, drafting bills, building those relationships with policymakers and electeds. And what people have to realize, it's kind of like if you know, you really don't get far if you don't build a relationship with the senior aide. Because that's where it is. And sometimes it'll begin there or it'll stop there. And because it's their responsibility to make sure that the elected is well prepared, talking points are created, bills are, you know, partnerships are made. They are the ones responsible for constituent services, making sure that whatever needs that have been brought to the office, the elected relies a lot of times on the expertise and experience of the aide to get those things done. So, and we make sure that elected now, because they have a lot to do. And so it is our responsibility to lift that load off of them and take care of a lot of those day to day and prep work for them. And so they rely a lot on the elected. So I wanted to make that clear that I served 2 terms in that area, and that broadened my horizon and showed me how to serve community. And what helped inspire me was the very first time and many times after helping someone getting their rights restored, walking through that process. So, what brings me to today is just bringing all of those experiences and leading in the nonprofit sector.
Okay.
So, having to understand budgets and working on initiatives that truly impact folks' lives and change their lives. That's been the trajectory of my career that brings me to where I am today.
So, with nearly 20 years working in the community development, is there something that you can say a resident could actually say, you know what, she helped me with that?
Oh my gosh, the pick the one something.
Pick the one something that has touched your heart the
difficult.
most.
Wow. Oh, there are so many different things. But I'll have to go back to the restoration of civil rights.
Okay.
The one that I still see this person to this day is when he came to me as a a newly married, husband and hadn't yet started a family, but wanted to transition into a more lucrative career
Mm-hmm.
in the medical field. And his background was a barrier.
Mm-hmm.
And so when he came into our office, we worked on that. We worked on that and we were very steadfast and consistent with that. To now, I mean, they have a new home. He has a family. Actually, last weekend, they drove their oldest son to college,
Um,
and so that experience resonates with me the most because people are looking for support. And a lot of times, if you find someone that can remove the middleman,
okay.
the bureaucracy and understanding how that works, it makes things better. And that's been how I have functioned throughout the years, is learning the system, learning the process, and then being able to navigate those
Mm-hmm.
things. I think has a lot to speak towards my success.
So if you had to finish the sentence, vote for Shannon Currie instead of the other candidates because what would that because be?
Yeah. So, because there are two things that we need to take into account.
Okay.
One, having someone that understands the system.
Okay.
That's very important, especially with the state of our county. We are focusing very hard on how to address the affordability crisis that we're dealing with. And then the other part of that is understanding how that system impacts community.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I bring to the table.
Okay.
I'm bringing experience, I'm bringing the know how. And when we think about, the day one, people talk about either I'm the only candidate for this, or day one, I'm going to do that. If you don't already understand the process, your day one is going to look different.
Okay.
It's going to look much different
What
because
do you
there's
envision your day one to look like?
making the connections and building the relationships with the county department.
Okay.
That's going to be my day one.
Okay.
Building those relationships, because again, when we speak of removing barriers, sometimes that's where it is,
Right.
at those departments. So it's going to be imperative for me to establish those sound relationships with those departments, so then I can start addressing some of the needs and concerns that the community has brought forward. So that's
Yes.
going to be my
That's gonna
my
be your
day
day
one.
one.
Yeah.
You know, you ran for Florida House back in 2012. It's 14 years later. Why are you running again? And what does Shannon Currie understand about politics today that you might not have understood back then?
I took the experience back then to run. Some
Okay.
people keep running. They keep
Right.
running. I took that time to learn. I was very excited,
Okay.
when I ran for office then, and I learned a lot. And although I did not win, I did very well.
Yes.
And so I took that opportunity to continue my path through serving the community, addressing the needs of the community, being able to see things that I had worked on previously come to fruition. So I stayed in that vein.
Okay.
And so what differentiates me, I believe, from my other my opponents, is the experience.
Okay.
The experience is very important, and it's something that cannot be taken for granted.
Okay.
I believe working on projects that bring sustainable impact and results are beneficial to the community. And I continue to do those things. I've been connected, and everyone works in their bubble. Everyone has that bubble. Somebody say, "Oh, where have you been?" Talking about other people or what have you. But and granted, everyone have their bubble, and I appreciate all the service and work that people have poured into the community. And I've been consistent with that. So what brings me here today is that with these beautiful neighborhoods and communities being brought together, I believe that we have to do this right.
Okay.
And you get one time to do it right. So it's not a popularity thing for me.
Okay.
It's not a political stepping stone for me, but it is a commitment to public servitude.
Is it fair to describe you as a political insider because of your past political involvement, or would you reject that label?
I reject it.
Why?
Explain political insider.
Okay.
people jargons that
Okay.
people just throw out. Like, what is that?
What is that?
You know, I am someone who has worked within the process. I've
Okay.
worked within the system to understand it. I and have continued to do so all these 14 years later. You know, so I understand and continue to build relationships. You know, as someone who understands the political spectrum, because it's a spectrum, right?
Yes.
And I wasn't an elected, you know, I didn't get elected, but I served in the capacity of supporting community and ensuring that voices are heard. So I bring that to that know-how to the table. It's important to be able to know how to navigate the system, build the relationships with those other decision makers so that you can bring the results back to the community.
Yes.
So, was a political insider?
Yeah.
You know, is it that you are having to address someone who knows how it works on the inside? You know, for years I set the table for people to sit down and have conversations, been in the room, created the agenda, brought the subject, the topics to the forefront, you know, and then pulled the, you know, retracted the results from that. You know, so I've been in the room at the table, setting the table, learning the ins and the outs and the know-how, and that is super valuable, and that's something not to be taken for granted. You know, but I think that people grow accustomed to throwing out the narrative,
Right.
but you don't really know what you're saying.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
And so it's important for me to bring life to that.
Okay.
You know, if political insider was a person,
Okay.
what would that look like?
Yes, I agree. You know, I feel privileged to have you come and sit down and talk with me.
I am privileged.
You know, when you first came into Jenny's and you did your mix and mingle, what I seen was a fighter. What I seen was someone with passion. So to have you sit down at this point when you hadn't quite made it on the ballot yet, and we had that conversation, and I said, "Oh, you'll be there.
Yes.
You're there now." Um, News Six had a whole question to send to me because their response was you didn't respond to them. How did she respond to you and did not respond to us for a collaboration sent to candidates a questionnaire designed to help District 7 voters compare you on major issues. You were listed as not responding. So their question was, why me and not them?
News Six, I apologize. I don't know how I missed that in the email. And thank you for and okay.
I'm special.
I apologize. You know, I have no excuse for that. You know, I didn't realize that. Actually, I realized that I did miss it after it was, and I'm like, oh my god, how did that? And I'm searching through emails. It's hard work, you know, going through the campaign process, and I would never make an excuse for a mishap or, you know, a mistake. So I have to give sincere apologies. I wasn't running away from something, or maybe I missed the deadline timeline. I don't know what it is, but can we make up for that?
Yes. So transparency and accessibility is a part of your campaign. Should voters expect for you to respond to them?
I see how y'all tied that together. Not you yourself, but yes,
Yes.
yes. Here is something again that's very important, and again, it speaks to the experience when I was speaking about the people that you surround yourself, the staff that you surround yourself, the follow through. That is something very, very important. And I will tell you this, that I would do everything in my power to ensure that my office does not make anyone or give anyone a sense of feeling that they're being ignored.
Yes.
Or even misrepresented. I don't want to be misrepresented or ignored, and I do not want our residents and our people in our community to have that feeling, because that would be unfortunate for an elected. So what happened with News Six will not happen again. I can assure you that. And so I give my sincere apologies, but I will make sure that there is follow through and follow up because it's important.
So I see you out here not campaigning,
Yeah.
and I see you knocking on doors, and I know how this time can be very stressful, juggling everything in your life. What are some of the conversations that you're having with these residents? Because you're in front of their face, and at the end of the day, they're the people that you are doing this for.
Absolutely. You know, they vary.
Okay.
They vary. People are concerned about what are your priorities. You know, they want to know what's your number one thing, you know, and so they allow me to talk about that. There are people that want to want to know about my faith, you know, what I believe in. So, you know, I don't mind. So we can sit down and have coffee about that, you know. And then there are people that genuinely just want to get to know you and that are intrigued that I'm even there knocking on their doors. And so our conversations vary. And one thing that I do is on my website, there's a survey. And one of my cards has a link tree on there that would lead you to the survey. And so I ask people to tell me what you're looking for in a leader, in someone that's asking for your vote. And they're telling me, you know,
what
it's
are some
like
of the
three or
things
four questions
that you see is needed in this new district?
Across the board. You know, I study data, you know, professionally, and so I look at what's aligning, like what am I seeing more of. People are very concerned about their neighborhoods and the integrity of their neighborhoods, and so when you look at people that have been in their homes for 30, 40 years, you know, and then they see the new house being built, they don't mind the new neighbors, but the concern is stormwater runoff. You know, now our streets are flooding. You know, you're taking away our green space. And so people really want to maintain the integrity of their communities and they want that protected. So I'm seeing that a lot. And then what I'm also seeing equally as much is, of course, how are we going to address the affordability crisis?
Yes.
And I always tell people I look at the affordability crisis as an umbrella. And there are a lot of weight things underneath that, beneath that umbrella that filters into the affordability crisis. And so one of the things that I will focus heavily on is looking at some of the vacant lots that we have, storefronts that are empty. How can we utilize those to become business corridors, to become attractive to small business owners? We also have to address, when I say building the relationship with our department heads, permitting. Why does permitting take so long? And what happens is when things get bottlenecked into the permitting process, at that time, business owners, big corporations, they're paying the price because it's caught up in the process, right?
Right.
But what people need to understand is once it gets going, the cost is transferred to the residents, to our taxpayers. So we got to fix the culprit of that part of the crisis in the permitting process. How do we cut that down? Once we're able to address that, that's one area that we can start picking away at the crisis that we're all dealing with at one degree or the other. And then the other thing is ensuring that Orange County is attractive to the small business owners too, or not just small business owners, but corporations that will bring higher paying jobs. If we can get higher wages, that chips away at the affordability because now we can afford, you know, to pay our rent. And what disheartens me so much is when I hear people having to make decisions. Do I buy groceries, pay rent, medicine, you know, having to decide, you know, how I'm going to get from point A to point B. So we have an issue with transportation, and that's a larger conversation. But there are things locally that we can do that we would have to be able to talk about. So I see the affordability crisis need to be addressed, and that's not just locally, but that's statewide as well. And those are my major concerns and focus.
So money is important in the district. You've been endorsed by the Central Florida Hotel Lodging Association. Tourism is incredibly important to Orange County, but hotel and development interests can sometimes want something very different than the residents want. What does the endorsement mean to you, and what can't they buy from you?
You can never buy my integrity. That you can, nobody can have that. You know, that's me and God.
Mm-hmm.
But what this shows is the willingness of and my ability to build relationship.
Yes.
I go back to the relationship.
Mm-hmm.
This is a cohort of people who are willing to hear what I have to say.
Yes.
Trust that I'm going to bring the voices of the community, and let's see what we can work out. What can we do together? Our tourism industry is the major,
Yes.
wage provider for our county,
Mm-hmm.
right? So it's important to have someone that even they are willing to sit down and have a conversation with.
Yes.
So that endorsement, I was, I'm like,
Yes.
oh,
Right.
okay, but I don't take that endorsement lightly. It is very important that we take care of our community.
Yes.
And it's very important that I want to see everyone win.
Mm-hmm.
I want to see people, half of my neighborhood works in the tourism industry, right? And so I see either walking to the bus stop or, getting in their cars and getting ready to head out to Disney or I drive. So I see where they live and all of that. And so for me to receive the endorsement from Central Florida Hotel and Lodging, it tells me that it is true. It's been validated that I am a relationship builder. I'm a partnership builder. They're willing to sit down at the table and talk to me, and I'm willing to sit down at the table and talk to them.
That's awesome. For residents that are fearful and of that, what would you tell them?
I want to say don't be.
Okay.
I think if you can recognize what are you afraid of,
Uh-huh.
then we can have a conversation.
Mm-hmm.
So clarity is really important, and being able to bring language to your feelings, that will give us something to work with. You
Yes.
say you don't know what you don't know, and you know what you know, right? But I encourage people that are fearful, let's break down what are you afraid of. Let's start there, and once we're able to start there, then we can start having conversations, because it may not be what you think it is, right? But we have to be able to put language to that. So that's what I'm going to ask is, let's put some language to it and not carry a narrative because everybody else is saying it.
Right.
Put language to your own personal feelings.
Yes.
And now let's talk. And I will invite any person that's watching, go to my website, shannoncurrie.com. There's a survey there. Tell me.
Yes.
Tell me. That's between me and you. Tell me what it is that you're looking for and what you are afraid of. And then once I get elected, we can workshop those things.
You are the first candidate that I've talked to that said, I have a survey. I have a survey right on my website that you're able to go on and you're able to talk to me, which clearly says you have an open door policy. You want to hear what their fears are. Have you had any personal fears about jumping into this position?
I wouldn't call it a fear. It's a sense of uncertainty.
Okay.
Because my fate in this election relies literally in the hands of voters. So but not really any fears. It's just, becoming a public servant is that your life is public.
Yes.
And so it's what I signed up for. Your husband said something, bring out the tiger. I'm a Leo, right? So, we can sit back and chill, and then we, don't knock on the door if you don't want.
You don't want.
You don't want none, right?
Yes.
So, I carry that persona. I carry that personality that is open and very welcoming, and I lean in and lean in and listen, not for my quick response, no, I really want to know.
Mm-hmm.
I am very concerned, and I lead with empathy. I have compassion generally.
Mm-hmm.
Compassion for folks, and I lean in and listen to learn. And
Yes.
I like to encourage people. Let's workshop it. No, tell me why.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk more.
Yes.
And
Yes.
so that's how I am. Naturally, that's how I am professionally, and that's how I will continue to be in serving this community.
What does leadership mean to you?
Mm. It is allowing yourself to be led.
Okay, that's good.
It's allowing yourself to learn.
Mm-hmm.
It's allowing yourself to be confident in your gained knowledge, but ready to bring on more.
Okay.
And it also requires, when you got to stand 10 toes down,
Yes.
it requires strength.
Yes.
Inner strength, outward strength, and still being able to do that with a sense of I think I have to use the compassion.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have to be feisty and
Right.
aggressive,
Right.
because, my mom said that you can gather more bees with honey than you can
Yes.
with vinegar, and in this state of our state and of our county, and with all the struggles and issues that people are facing every day, I don't think you want somebody that you're scared to just walk up and say
Right.
something.
It's
I'm that one
unapproachable.
that's unapproachable. I am that one that you can walk up to me in Publix or at
Mm-hmm.
Walmart,
Mm-hmm.
because I was in Walmart the other day. They was like, "Hey, I saw
Yes.
you. Hey, So
Mm-hmm.
I'm that person, and so for me, leadership is you being your authentic self,
Yes.
taking the experience that you have gained and learned and putting that to use to better everyone around you.
Yeah.
And that's leadership to me.
You know, when you run for a official seat, a lot of times it's because you see something wrong that you want to fix or improve. Is there anything within the Orange County government that you currently believe, simply can be improved with your leadership?
Yeah, permitting.
Okay.
Yeah. And how we address affordability. I think that we need
Okay.
people at the county level that are willing to work together to workshop through these issues and come
Mm-hmm.
up with a viable solution that not only impacts, their governing districts, but countywide.
Mm-hmm.
That permitting and procurement process, I think, is a huge problem. Of
Okay.
course, I see, the congestion of our traffic. Of course, I forward statewide, but we still
Mm-hmm.
have a say. Um, Being a part of those conversations to, again, come up with solutions that will work for everyone are things that we need to address. When I hear you say like a problem, it's a growing concern
Okay.
that impacts us all. I want to see people be able to live in this county and thrive.
Mm-hmm.
I want our regular local residents to love Orange County the way and what it has to offer, the way a tourist will come in and love everything that
Okay.
it has to offer. So I think that we all have to continue the
Okay.
work, because never to negate the work that any previous elected has worked on. I think, to me, that's disrespectful,
Mm-hmm.
because they too lent themselves, their
Mm-hmm.
family, their livelihood to address and support our county. So what I want to do is, hey, if we need to pick up where someone left off, let's do it. Continue to grind it, continue to make it better
Mm-hmm.
and improve. And so that's my goal, not to say this is wrong, it is broken, but there are
Mm-hmm.
some areas for growth and
Okay.
improvement, and I want to be a part of seeing that through.
Do you have any plans for small businesses when we talk about thriving, or have you put together any programs that you may want to incorporate there?
Yeah, we want to give that permitting process again.
Yes,
That's a big
permitting is a big
that's
thing
a big
on your
thing. It is.
platform.
But making sure they have a place.
Okay.
So when I spoke about like addressing some of our high traffic corridors in those shopping centers,
Yes.
that's kind of around the borders of District 7. I want to make sure that we are able to create or establish those corridors, beautify it,
Okay.
so that as we are, driving up and down Colonial or OBT or, wherever, that people can say my business is there,
Yes.
and get off the road and go and visit those areas. Why that's important for small businesses is, again, we're addressing what's under the umbrella of affordability.
Yes.
We're bringing wages because those small businesses more than likely will hire,
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of times they hire from the community. Now I'm bringing pride. So now I'm working in my community. I live in my community. I'm going to care for my community.
Yeah.
I'm going to thrive in my community. So I really want to make a place make space for small businesses to be in their community, to be able to make contribution. I would love to keep the money in the community.
Community.
Yes, because it will grow.
So, 4 years from now, what measurable results should voters use to determine whether you deserved that term?
Oh my goodness. That's deep. It is my goal to have a track record.
Okay.
It's my goal. The things that, and this is why that survey is very important. The first term is only 2 years.
Okay.
So only 2 years. So I'll get in 1 year and then I'm campaigning again.
Mm-hmm.
So I will lean heavily on that survey to address the things that can be taken care of right now and be very transparent with our voters.
Mm-hmm.
Like, hey, this can happen in months. This can happen in a year. This will take a term,
Right.
So being able to utilize those things and being very open and honest with our residents to let them know, hey, this is where we're gonna start.
Mm-hmm.
Here's the timeline.
Mm-hmm.
Be very open and honest about that, and just keep moving the pendulum. And that's gonna be the goal. So I want them to be able to, we'll set the record,
Yes.
and then we'll start playing the tune.
Yes.
And then we can mark off a song as we get through it. Let's mark it through,
Yes.
and then we'll go from there.
This is again, a whole new district. Um, what do you think will be different from a district that's already set up, already mobilizing, already have policies and everything in place? Are you prepared for that, and what do you feel will be different?
Yeah, I think what will matter is unity,
Mm-hmm.
unifying the districts. You hear, and I've heard people in certain communities say, we don't have nothing in common with them.
Right.
So that tells me we need to unify, because actually we do have
Mm-hmm.
a lot in common. We may look different, our zip codes may be different, our economic status in certain places may
Mm-hmm.
be different, but there are a lot that we align on.
Okay.
And I am prepared to address those things,
Yeah.
so that when people find out how much alike we are,
Mm-hmm.
and how much we do share, how much that we care about our community and the well-being, how we want to, our economy to soar and to thrive.
Yes.
It doesn't matter what our outer core looks like. Our heart feels the
Yes.
same. And I'm prepared to move forward in that vein. What's been really good is that, I've been able to connect with, even when we talk about party lines.
Mm-hmm.
It's been a blessing for me, to not only be able to connect with, this is a nonpartisan race, but I've had a lot of favor with
Mm-hmm.
everyone across party lines, not just Democrat, but Republicans are like, I voted for you, or I'm voting for you, and to ask, okay, why,
Right.
and it's like, because you seem like you can do it, you can bring us together. And I feel very fortunate to thank you, Mom, and thank you, God,
Yes.
for blessing me with that spirit, to be able to connect,
Okay.
and my experience. gives me that gift as well to be able to connect with people and just be open and honest. So yeah.
So, what haven't journalists or voters asked you during this campaign that you wish somebody would have asked you? Is there anything that you wanted to talk about that
No.
nobody has not asked? That you're like, that nobody asked me that yet. I need to be able to express myself about this.
No, I get asked so many different things. I don't know what's missing. I do not know what's missing. I said earlier, you know what you know, and you don't
No.
know what you don't know. So I don't know if there is a burning question out there that I wish someone would ask me, because I've just had some great conversations,
Yes.
of people. Um, yeah, I don't know.
Are there any, and just being in business and industry, I typically, align with people doing the same thing that I'm doing. As a restaurant owner, as a journalist, I have friends and I network. Are there any current commissioners that you have gotten with or networked with that you feel is this will be who I'll be able to, reach out to that will support me through this endeavor?
I have been blessed.
Okay.
I have really strong relationships.
Mm-hmm.
Current commissioners, I don't know if I can call out names,
Yes, you
but
can call out
yeah,
names.
yeah, I have a great relationship with Commissioner Scott,
Okay.
and he's campaigning.
Yes.
I recently met, well, not recently, like over through the course of the campaign, like Commissioner Simrat,
Okay.
and got a chance to meet her, and I've known her aides, and so yeah, I have a great relationship with Mayor Demings
Mm-hmm.
and Clerk Russell, and
Yes. Yes.
and a lot of state legislators. I have wonderful relationship with that I can call on, and that I do call on and say, hey, you know what, I'm thinking about this.
Mm-hmm.
What's your guidance of that,
Mm-hmm.
or how should I anticipate? You know, I had a conversation with City Commissioner Robert Stewart
Okay.
a few months ago, and just being able to sit down with him and talk to him about what to look forward to, and to hear him just share his experience. And he was like, I want you to have this on that, this on deck, that on deck, always be thinking, but really to serve the community. So there are some great individuals that I have leaned into,
Yes.
and will be able to lean into to ensure that I do well.
Yes.
So, and
They
I'm very
always say,
happy about that.
your network is your net worth. And
Mm-hmm.
I asked that question because, we all need to be able to pick up the phone to someone
Yeah.
that's did it before.
Yeah.
And I think that is supporting and comforting
Mm-hmm.
to the residents being a new district,
Yes.
that you know that there's others out there that are doing this same
Yeah.
thing that you are able to align yourself with,
Mm-hmm.
that they trust you.
Yes.
Because the
Mm-hmm.
names of the ones that you mentioned are ones that are in our community doing an outstanding
Yeah.
job, and they
Yeah.
trust you, which they're saying, trust her.
Yes, yes. And as you said, I'm thinking like all these people. That's why I don't like name calling,
Yes.
because you forget. But when I decided to run, I went to my former boss, Senator Jerry Siplin,
Okay.
and I made him aware, and he was like, call me.
Okay.
And then I got a chance to sit with he and our former commissioner, Victoria Siplin,
Uh-huh.
and just a vote of confidence
Yes.
that they gave. And he was like, if you've ever talked to them, everybody's
I,
sweetie.
yes.
Sweetie, you ready for this. You
Mm-hmm.
know how to do this. You took care of my office. You were my right hand. You're ready
Yes.
for this. And so just to listen to him, someone that I served and I learned from, and I can go to,
Yes.
they have lent themselves to me,
Mm-hmm.
and their doors to me. And so I have been blessed to have people literally. I dare not assume this role single handed. I will not do it.
Yes.
You have to, we are leaning on people who have paved the way for us. And I will lean on those individuals as long as and much as I can. I would never be the I know it all. I don't need that would never be me.
Yeah.
Because there are people that have done this. You glean from it, you learn from it, and you continue to improve. And that's the goal. we are going to continue to improve. So I have been
Yes.
fortunate.
So, for someone watching right now who hasn't decided among you and all of the candidates, I just want you to look at them in the camera and tell them why you? Why? Why
Yes,
should they vote for you?
thank you. I want you to participate in this democracy. Number one, I want you to vote, and that's most important. I am asking for your vote because I do believe that Orange County depends on leadership that listens first, that produces results, and that plan responsibly. And I will bring the experience from my career. I'm going to bring compassion. I will bring integrity and truth, accountability to this role. I'm ready for it right now. I've been doing it. Now I'm just asking for the title to lead District 7, this beautiful district, with you in mind. So I need you, I need your support to help me get there. And don't just stop at bubbling in my name or that ink in the spot. But I want you to practice accountability. I want to hear your voice. I want you to connect with me so that together we can move this new district forward. So I ask for your vote.
Listen, you heard it right here. This is the final interview for today. That was an amazing
Thank
ask,
you.
and I think it was backed with genuineness. So passion. I
Yes.
see it all over
Yes.
your face. I hear it in your voice.
Thank you.
Listen, y'all, running a campaign is not easy, but what I can say is everyone that has sat on this stage and is put their name on the ballot, they are doing it with dignity, and they're doing it trusting that they are going to go in and make the community a better place. So don't sit back after the election and complain about anything happening in your community if you did not get out there and vote. I love the fact that you have the questionnaire on your website.
Yes.
Could you please tell them again what's your website name where they can go
Absolutely.
to?
Thank you. ShannonCurrie.com.
You heard it, ShannonCurrie.com. It's
Hurry,
easy.
hurry, vote for Curry.
You all, thank you again for being with us throughout the day. Thank you to Southern Style Barbecue, who has sponsored this along with Genion Agency. Listen, we have another day. We have one more day. The voting
Yes.
ends Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Vote
it's
early.
right around the corner. It ends Sunday. So make sure you go out and vote and make your voice be heard. Again, thank you so
Thank you.
much
This was
because I
beautiful.
know how rough it is
Yes,
on the campaign,
it
and
is.
every moment counts.
Yes,
So
it does.
I
Thank you.
appreciate you taking the time
Thank
to
you.
sit with me.
Thank
Okay,
you.
Uh, early voting
Yes.
ends
Yes.
Sunday, but you can vote up until August 18th.
18th. Yes.
Yes,
Vote
yes.
early. You vote early. You can track your vote.
Yes.
Yes.
All right, y'all. Again, thank y'all for tuning in. It has been a journey. Save, like, follow, tag your friends. Go on to Shannon Currie's page. The days are counting down, and our community deserves a leader that cares.
Yes.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Y'all have a good one.